Hey, this is Rick Kaselj from exercisesforinjuries.com. Today I have another interview for you, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk about calming the mind. And I will get Adam to introduce himself, and then we'll end up moving into the topic.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Rick. I really appreciate being here with you today. As Rick said, my name is Adam Michael Brewer, and I am a mind-body specialist, wellness coach, and a meditation guide. And I work daily with clients to, as you said, help them calm their mind, bring some tranquility, serenity into their worlds, and also hopefully working hand in hand with that, add more vitality, peace, and well-being. Right. So it's I do it through a variety of different modalities, but it's something that I'm pretty excited about, and something we can all use right now because we're in this hyper-stimulated environment that we call life right now, and things are happening so fast for people, and often we find ourselves with that space of being completely agitated in our mind and body. And so I can't wait to talk with you about these ideas.
Awesome. And so maybe you can kind of share your story a little bit when it came to your journey on kind of calming the mind. I know we've chatted a lot. We've met up at masterminds in Nashville and in California, and we've kind of talked about that. That crazy life, and what happens with that crazy life is that crazy mind, and then how you kind of were in a bad place with your crazy mind, and how you calmed it and brought it to where it is now. Maybe you kind of share your journey a little bit when it comes to that.
Absolutely. And you hit it on the nail on the head. I mean, my life, for many, many years was just a driven, hyper energetic world. And part of that led me to come out to California about 18 years ago. And at that time, I was pursuing dreams of fame. And I wouldn't even say I wanted to be, an entertainer or an actor. I didn't even know. I just wanted to be famous. I would describe it as that. And so I came out to this environment, which is nonstop in terms of just self-promotion, what's happening. And I fell into that trap. And while it was happening, I found myself, I'm going to say spiritually, hitting a crossroads where, I realized that much of what I was doing was certainly feeding my ego, but my soul felt like it was completely devoid of anything meaningful in any way, shape, or form. And as this was happening, my body started to break down. And as I said, I had been the Energizer Bunny. I was working out all the time. I was doing sports modeling and all those kind of things that I thought were cool. And was concerned mostly with my outside, the external version of Adam Brewer. And it hit a point at which there was really no return. And my body started to break down. And what happened for me was a major injury took place in my back, and something you know all about, and you're the man, right? Exercise, for instance, I got to tell you.
It's like everyone says everyone will encounter death and taxes, but it's also everyone will encounter injuries and pain.
Yeah, sure enough. Yeah, they're really unavoidable, and that's what it was. I mean, I believe it became a physical manifestation of a psychological issue as much as anything, and my back gave out. And for about 6 months, I was on my back. I couldn't train myself. I couldn't train clients that I was working with, and just found myself kind of hitting rock bottom. I lost about, I think it was about 15 pounds, and really felt like I was disappearing. But during that time that I was confused and not sure what was going on and dealing with the pain, it also opened me up to try new things, to say, listen, what's happening is there's just so much going on in my mind. I can't seem to calm the noise, and I need to find a way to center myself. And I don't know what that means yet, but I just kind of opened myself up to that possibility that there was help out there. And from that, it was interesting how life kind of aligned to bring in healers into my life. And I had been up to that point 100% Western in my philosophies of how you heal yourself and what you do. And some people who were working in the world of Eastern modalities came in and introduced yoga and something that's called Ayurveda, which is kind of the sister science to yoga. It involves kind of almost the nutritional aspects of yoga. And through that, it led me to something that is pretty hot in the world right now, which is called meditation. And so that we'd strip away any kind of the questions about what a meditation is. In its simplest level, it's simply just focusing the mind on one thing in particular. It's to contemplate. It's to ruminate over something consistently. And so through all of these introductions, I began to practice what I'm going to call just quieting my mind through calming my breath, right? And then through calming my breath, I was able to slow my heart rate down. And slowing my heart rate down, I was able to slow the brain waves down. And slowly but surely, through consistent practice of just literally learning how to control my breathing, I was able to start to calm my mind. And it kind of blew me away. And so while I had been introduced to things like the yoga and the Ayurveda and acupuncture and their amazing healing modalities, the one thing that really struck a chord with my body, my mind, my being in general was the focus on the breathing, was the ability to just say, hey, listen, the gateway to get to our mind is really what's going on with our breathing. Because when we get agitated, as you know, or we get tense or we get nervous, what tends to happen is we contract and we constrict. Our breathing gets shallow and our muscles get tense, and that's going to cause agitation in the mind as well. And so if we can kind of do the exact opposite of that and slow the breathing down and allow our bodies to relax a little bit, the mind can calm the chatter. And so it was an amazing journey to just begin that process. And that, as I mentioned, when I came to LA, that was about 18 years ago. And that injury or that pain moment came for me probably about 8 years into that experience. And so now it's like, or something around there. I've been, working with breath control and what I'm going to call meditation for about the last 12 years. And my life has not been the same. I can say in all of the healing modalities I have tried, and I've tried many because I'm in this world of health and wellness, that this working with the breathing and this meditation has been the one thing that has changed my life more than anything and brought peace of mind to my world, and just helps to make sense of life. It's something that I would not have imagined I would have found.
Awesome. Now, we were talking before, what would he talk about in this interview? And what we kind of came up with was kind of looking at the 3 steps to calm your mind and body. And maybe we kind of work through those steps. And as you kind of share those steps, we'll kind of expand on them a little bit more. So what would end up being, looking at the steps, if people wanted to kind of calm their mind and their body, what would be the first step that people would end up following?
Yeah, the first step is one I've already kind of touched on, which to me is, if you want to calm your mind or bring peace to your thoughts, would be to learn to manage your breathing. As we said, and I'm just going to call it learn to breathe. And the average person, in terms of their respiration rate in any given minute, is going to have about 12 to 20 breaths. And a breath would be an inhale and an exhale. So that's the normal state of activity in that's what they'll refer to in terms of brainwave activity as the beta brainwave activity. And it allows us to function and to do the things we need to do on a daily basis so that all the ducks can be in a row. But in that same state of the 12 to 20 breaths a minute in that beta brainwave, it also has a lot of agitation, anxiety, and worry that are attendant to it as well. And so when we slow our breathing down, and there's some really basic breathing exercises you can do where you can get your respiration rate down to sometimes only 4 to 6 breaths a minute. You can then slow the brainwaves down to what's called the alpha state. And in that alpha state, we have the ability to find that peace of mind and that ability to calm ourselves to a state in a place that we can be less reactive and more responsive, because that's really what it's all about. When we work on our breathing, we slow it down and we calm ourselves. So often when we're in that agitated state, it's a reaction. So if somebody barks at me or a dog barks, it's like, what's the dog's instinct? It's to bark back. And we do the same thing as human beings. Whether it's a person honking our horn, I think people know what they do in response to that. They either yell back or they do something with their fingers. I'm not going to get into that right now. But they bark back, right? And what slowing the breathing down and slowing our brainwaves and our thoughts down does is it allows us to be a little more responsive so that we can take a moment, we can pause in those moments of confrontation or conflict or agitation and say, hey, what's my course of action that is actually going to perhaps elevate this experience rather than exacerbate the issue, right? And I can now say, you know what, maybe I don't need to honk back and I can just go about my day. And in doing so, you're going to find yourself experiencing a lot more of the things you want to find in life. So that, I guess, all that long-winded would say the first step would be to just slow the breathing down, get some breath control into your life.
And people can easily test that on themselves. Like how does the body feel, or how does your muscles feel when you breathe quickly, and then how does your body feel and your mind feel when you sit down and you try to slow down the breathing, not to like holding your breath, but to
Right. Yeah.
decrease the number of breaths that you end up having in a minute, and see how your body ends up feeling.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, so if your normal pattern is like 1 or 2 seconds on an inhale and 1 or 2 seconds on an exhale, I mean, simply just as you just said, slowing it down to 3 to 4 to 5 seconds on an inhale, and then just doing the same, try to match the length of the inhale to the exhale. And as you're doing so, just notice what you're doing with your body. Let the muscles relax, like you said, and just see where you're holding on. And not only where you're holding on physically, because that's the common tendency. It's like, where am I holding on? Where am I gripping? But also mentally, like what's going on there in terms of, are there thoughts that are also constrictive? And so when you're working on slowing the breath down, slow your thoughts down, and also just relax the body, and try to notice if there are any thoughts that are holding on as well.